Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope everyone is good. Welcome to another session on Cisco SD Access. Right, so we had a session yesterday, and DNS Center could not accept the certificate that we generated, and for the reason it could not integrate with the ICE, and we couldn't go forward. So I figured out what went wrong and what the issue was. Unfortunately, I had to go through the installation process again, and that's where I figured out what went wrong um, in the certificate that we were trying to install, and it wasn't accepting it. Okay, so let me walk you through this. So here is a scenario that we were working on. We had a shared subnet on which we had all the servers hosted, DNS Center, ICE, wireless LAN controller, a transit CP node, and a Windows server with the AD, Active Directory, CA server, Certificate Authority, DNS, DHCP, and NTP. So all these services were running on the Windows server here. This connects to the node here, which is R1 basically. Okay, R1, R2, and R3 that we have. Now, R1, this one here is R1 actually. R1 is the border and control node as well, okay, for the HQ. And then we have R2, which is the border and control node for branch 1, R3, BC for branch 2. Similarly, we have VTEP switches at both the sides. These VTEP switches, these are 9300s and 3850s, 650s. So these are all supported by the DNS Center. Then we've got a Fusion router here that's going to connect to R2, okay, and the NAT router just to perform the NAT, because Fusion is something that we're not going to perform a NAT on, and that NAT router then connects to the internet, okay. There were two topologies that we discussed. It's this one here, and then there is another one. The difference in the two is the Fusion placement. Now here the Fusion is placed between the branches, which means the branches, their VNs, different VNs, inter-VN communication can be done easily using this Fusion. Okay. And it's a common Fusion for both the branches. Whereas on the other topology that we're currently working on, since there was a request on for this topology, for the reason there's one Fusion here just for branch 1, okay, but it's we can actually do inter-branch, but it's very difficult to achieve it, and it's gonna put us through a lot of challenges. But for the reason we're gonna keep it to a single branch as of now. Normally, in a typical enterprise environment, every branch has its own Fusion router. Okay, so this Fusion router belongs to branch 1. We're not using a Fusion for branch 2 for some reason, because we're just going to test the functionality and see how it works. Everything else will be done via the DNS Center. Okay, so we'll start configuring the DNS Center. I'll show you the certificate, the DNS Center interface first. Let me just log in. It's a fresh install. Okay, and okay, so if you see, we've got the version 2.3.5.5, okay? There's no devices registered yet. There's nothing there. It's a fresh and clean install. Installed a number of applications, which took me a day, and I've got some snapshots here as well to show you that. You see, some of the services were down because it was all installing this, and this was earlier today at 2:18 p.m. Okay. And you can see all these services were getting installed. And then these were the unhealthy services while this installation was in place. Okay. And today was the 18th of November. Okay. Right. Coming back to the topology, we see the DNS center has the following packages installed. We don't need some of these, but I've just installed them just in case. Okay, coming back to the certificate where we had the issues. Okay, let me just go to the CA server first. This was my CA server. Okay, this was my CA server. Okay, this is the IP it's been configured on. 10.1.1.1.2 is the one that's used on the subnet. The other IPs are just used to access this from the management, out-of-band management interface. So for example, cert SRV. Okay, so this is where if you have generated a CSR, you request here to sign it. How do you generate a CSR? There's two ways. You can either do it from the DNS center directly, which I did not do because I had issues with it. Uh, it did put me through a lot of trouble. So this is the certificate. If you wanted to replace it, there is an option where you can generate the new CSR. Okay. Keep an eye on this. These are the two IP addresses that my server has, a DNS center. These are the two addresses. So the first one is my DNS center IP, as you can see here, 10.1.1.1. The other one is the cluster IP. Now the problem in my certificate was that I, randomly changed I used a random IP on the cluster IP, cluster node for the cluster node, and my certificate could not be signed because I had a file in my SSL, OpenSSL, which I used to generate the certificate, and it clearly defines, this is the file, okay? This is where you need to define your addresses of both the nodes. So this one here, the second IP, it did not match in my certificate. For the reason yesterday, it was not accepting my certificate. So this was a mistake. So instead of this IP, I had 192.1.1.1, which is a random IP, and uh, I was not meant to use it. But things happen, and you make mistakes and learn. So this is what was actually wrong. So if I just want to replace the certificate, I can go and replace the certificate. The certificate, first I generated the CSR using the OpenSSL and a key, okay? And then I had this signed by the root CS server. So root CS server actually signed it. So for example, if this was the CSR, what I would do is open it, copy this, and request a certificate, advanced certificate request, paste this here. And I've created a template, certificate template called DNAC that I'm going to be using. It has certain fields that are required by the DNS center. So I'm going to use this particular template. I'll show you what that template looks like. So you submit this, and then base 64, you download the certificate. That's it, as easy as that. So, okay, and that's it. So this is how it was supposed to happen, but eventually I made a mistake in it, and it did not work for me. But I fixed it, alhamdulillah. It's all fixed now. Let me just show you how that was fixed. So we've got the key here, and we've got the certificate here. Okay. Um, what we need to do is upload the certificate now to the DNS center. So you can drag and drop directly from here. Okay, so this is my certificate. And this is where's my key? This is my key. It's not using any passwords now. Upload that, and then just click on save. And that's gonna log you out. Just ignore that. It will work. Yeah, it's gonna log you out because it's updating and changing the certificate. So now we should have the new certificate. Just refresh it because once certificate changes, it would want you to sign in again. Log in again. And now we should have the new certificate in place. When you're using the certificate, you make sure the certificate that you've downloaded from your root CS server, you've got to make sure that your root certificate data goes under the certificate. So for example, this certificate, this new one here, if I open this with Notepad, you will see this part here. This is the root CS certificate. Okay. And this was the top part is the signed CSR. Okay. Which was a certificate actually, which is actually this one here. Okay. So this is what I uploaded. It has specific fields. I'll show you what they are. Now, if you look at the details here, this is where we went wrong. These are the two addresses that are there. And if you don't have this in place, the second one, which is the cluster IP, you can't get it signed by the DNS center. DNS center is not going to accept the certificate. So this is where it all went wrong and we couldn't do it. So now it's all done. Everything else is ready. Let's now move on to the devices to make sure they have the required configs and we can add them to the DNS center before performing any configs. Okay, so right now there's no network devices. In fact, before adding the network devices, we need to have the ICE integrated. Okay. There's certain settings that you got to make sure are in place. There's certain settings that must be in place, and those settings are mentioned in the document a number of times on Cisco's site. So I'm not going to get into that detail right now. I'm just going to show you the PX grid services. Okay, PX grid is enabled by the way. I just ignore that message for now. So these are the clients, capabilities. Okay. And status is enabled. Okay. So admin services is enabled. Publisher, subscriber. This one is publisher. It shows you which one is publisher, which one is subscriber, by the way. Okay, so this needs to have your DNS center integrated right now. We have no total clients here, no pending clients. So we have nothing at the moment. Okay. Let's do that integration first before moving forward. Get into the settings. Okay, so this is a kind of complimentary session for everyone. And we do have our badges normally going on technology trainings, especially SDXS, SD-WAN, ACI, service provider network. Even we have certain badges on CCIE Enterprise. Okay, you can check the details given in the description, and from there onwards, you can sort of contact us and join the training sessions. Okay. Right, so ICE IP address is dot three, I believe. Let me look at diagram. Yeah, ICE is dot three. So 10.1.1.3. Do you have any shared secret that you would want there to be used? I'm gonna use I'll leave whatever there is. So username is admin. I'm not sure what the password of ICE was. Let me just check. And okay, let's add the ICE to the DNS sensor now. For those of you who are doing this for the first time, make sure you have all the setting done on ICE already. I have set it up already and it's accessible. Let me add the IP address here. So if you wanted the device controlling, you can use the TechX, but you cannot plan that later on. If you have plans, you do it now. Later on, maybe you can use it or drop it. So, but make sure you do this now. Okay. Click on add and wait and see. Okay. Probably a mistake somewhere. Let's try that again. So you accept the certificate, okay? And that is it, you're good to go. Again, it's not yet trusted. You want to accept it and trust, establish trust. Just say yes. And it's integrating now with ICE. So hopefully this will be done, inshallah. PX grid is this protocol that's used between a DNS center and ICE. So wait for this to finish. Once done, then we'll be good to go. Yeah, okay, so connected to the PX grid. Okay, the status is active, which means it's connected to the ICE now. We can go back and verify this and PX grid. Okay, let's have a look. So it's one of these. I'm not sure which one it is because the previous ones that I had, they were also approved. So I guess it's probably this one here, the last one. Okay, that's this one here. We can sort of edit this if we want. But I'll leave it like this. So we have this working now. We are connected to PX grid. Now, if you go into the DNS center, you will see this in the setting. It will appear up there. So coming back to this DNS center, you need to have a proper design in place. Whenever you're doing the installation, you've got to be sure what you're up to. You need to have the addressing scheme defined. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have the basic connectivity, basic IP addresses set up on the devices. Okay, I'm not going to put that in the recording. Reason being, it's a tiny task, uh, which doesn't need to be recorded. It's just the IP addresses. So once that is done, once we have the reachability to the DNS center for all the devices, then I'll record this part again from where we start adding devices to the DNS center. Okay, so let me just pause this for now. Well, let me also go through some basic settings that we need to perform on the DNS center. So I'm going to add a area. So the area is, let's say, HQ. Okay. And I'm going to add a building. It's B1, or let's call it HQ building. Let's give it an address. You add something wrong there. That's it. That's my first building ready. Okay. I can sort of rename this as well if I want. Let's call it China. Okay. Let's add a couple more sites here. On to global. In fact, let's call this branch A. Add a building. Find somewhere, let's say, Islamabad. Okay, and simply name it. And in fact, even with this, it's easier to rename it. I'm just going to call it Labong. Okay. And then add another area and branch B. Okay, add a building. Just call it any name that you want to give. So I've got 3 branches now. Ready? Okay. Then I need to get into I can see those branches. I have the HQ. Okay. If I zoom out, I should be able to see the other branches in there too. And A. Okay, looks good. Let's now go and do some network settings. Okay, so DHCP server, we know it's the this guy here, this box here. So 10.1.1.2. DNS is the same box. Okay, and save those settings for now. Okay, so those settings are there. We need to do some more. Add a AAA server and an NTP server. So that's for the client endpoint. Nice. Okay. And this is the address that's going to be used. In fact, it has 2 addresses. This one is the management interface address. Okay, so policy servicing node. This is the ICE address. There's 2 addresses. This is the one that we want, which is connected to the DNS center. I mean, DNS center can reach this address. DNS center cannot reach this address, this one here, because that address is the management address, okay? Out of band management. Okay, that's it, simple. And your NTP server, it's the same Windows box. Save it. Now, these are the settings that are going to be applied to your all the devices that you're going to add. Okay, I can use this for network as well, which means that network is going to be controlled by this, but then I can obviously put me in other challenges, so I don't want to do that right now. I'm just going to go into IP address pools for now. Okay, let's go back. Design network settings, and then IP address pools. So I need to define the pool for all the branches now. I'm just going to show you how that is done, because this is something important and you need to kind of design this for your organization. So add a pool here. Let's call this global, and add a IP subnet here. There's no gateway. There's no other. In fact, the service should show up. Well, we can go without it for now, because it's the global address. So now we're going to reserve these for the branches. Okay, for all the buildings that we have. So let's say for branch A, in fact, let's start with the HQ. And in local. So what you defined in global, you cannot define a pool here, but you can only reserve from the one that you've defined. So based on our information that we're going to be using, it's going to be 10.101.2, 1013, 1014, and 5 and 6. All these addresses need to be reserved. So for now, since we're not going to be using a lot of this stuff here, and in fact, HQ is not going to be using any of these for now, because we have the devices at the branch side. So I'm going to use one of the branches to reserve the addresses in that case. Okay, let's reserve. Let's call this, the first one as default. So this is branch A default VN. Okay, type is generic because we keep it generic here so that we can use it for the other pools are different types. For example, if you want to do automation, you want to do other services, you can choose type of services here. So my type is generic. That's my name, generic, and the global pool is this one here. Prefix length is 24. So this one is slash 24, 10.101.2.0, 10.101.2.1. DHCP address should populate here, which is not showing up. I wonder why, because I have already assigned the DHCP. So just give me a moment and let me check why is that not showing up. Yeah, this one's there. Okay, let's go back and the schools. Slash 24. 2.1. Okay, I'm just gonna reserve this for now. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have this. Yeah, I can edit this later on. Okay, so that's first one done. Similarly, we need to reserve more of these. Might just give me a moment. Pause this for a second. Yeah, I think let me just refresh this so you know what happened actually. I think instead of the domain name, I gave an IP address there. So that's what messing it up. Yeah, so this should be domain name, the IP address. Okay, now save it. So that should have an impact in the pool now. Oh, why is it not populating? Okay, doesn't matter. So I'm just going to reserve a few more. The other one is the infra, which is 3 prod 4 guest 5 fuel 6. Infra prod guest and fuel. So you need to do that for all the branches. Yeah. Is that one? Let's add prod and four dot four dot zero. Okay, reserve. And then it's guest. Pool is the same. The prefix length is 24. Gateway IP address reserve. And the last one for Fusion. We'll do the remaining for the other branches when needed. So I'm just going to reserve these for now. Okay, so this is done for branch one. Now we need to go back and we'll see what we have. Also, we can define our fabric as of now. So we're going to have a fabric of HQ. We don't need any authentication for now over there. So do that later on. Deploy. And that's it. It doesn't take very long, by the way. 1 minute or two at the max. So that was our first fabric. We can have a single fabric with all the sites in it, but then, it's the roles that'll put you through challenges. So it is highly recommended that for each site you have a fabric. Okay, so it's done. If you go into the detail, we'll be able to see what is happening. It's created the fabric side. Let's view the fabric side details. So we have the HQ fabric created. Okay, let's create another couple. Branch A. Okay, we don't have the devices ready. That is why there's not a lot we can do. I'm using, if you choose this part here, you need to define the building and all the other procedures with it. So for example, you have that building here. Okay. Now you deploy this. Okay. Let's go again. So it's done. Exit. Branch B. Kashmir. In the zone. This is the one, yes. Which shows the branch. So branch V should be the fabric. Anything else that comes under it is chosen as the fabric zone. So you have all the fabrics ready, you have the IP addresses ready for at least one site. Okay, so we can exit this safely. And we can also see the ICE integration as well in the policy. Okay, see, so we need to migrate. So whatever groups are created on ICE will be migrated here. You need to click on Start Migration because we have already integrated ICE with the DNS Center. Okay, so we have the integration in place. Now let's just do the migration. It takes a little while. So this migration basically means that you're going to be controlling the ICE from the DNS Center, okay? I mean the uh, groups. So you can create the groups here and they will be created for you in ICE and you will see them here, okay? So whatever security groups are present in the ICE. Let me just, these are the rules that I've created, okay? These are the security groups, ACLs. These are the, if there are any security group mappings, these are the security groups, and these are the ones that are going to get populated in the DNS Center. Excuse me. I created these, the network services one myself, the test servers, employees and guests. Not the network services, I think employees and guests I created. Or maybe this one too. Yeah, so I created a few, and these are going to show up in the DNS Center once the migration is complete, of course. So migration is complete. Okay. Policy issues. So these are the security groups. So all those security groups that were there are now available here. Okay, what's this? Okay, there is a virtual network in place. So we can also define the VNs that we talked about. If we go into design, hold on a second. We have the network settings done right. These are correct now. These are in place. We didn't define any credentials, global credentials, so you can do that if you want. Telemetry, you need to set that up. It's already done for us. Wireless, I've not integrated that yet, so that is why you see there's nothing here yet. Okay. Let's go to fabric and then create the VNs there as well. So these are the VNs. We can create a new VN. Let's call this prod and save it. You can have multiple SGTs and prod. Similarly, you can create another one called yes. Okay, so you have created two. You have the fabric sides. You haven't created the transits yet, so we can create the transit yet. So these, sorry, yeah. So the fusion is going to be our IP transit, okay? And this C control plane transit is going to be our SDA transit. We can create two type of transits. I can only create IP based right now because the other one is not even added. Let's use 65,000 for now. Save that. Call it the IP transit. That's the first one created. So it's about time you start adding devices. Let's have a look at our devices now. I'm going to try access the devices. This is my DNS where I've got all the addresses defined for IS, for DNS center. Okay. So let's go back and start adding the devices. Right, so all these devices I'm gonna need to add. R1, R2, R3, S2, and PS. Okay, open these all up. That's the IP 10.192.168. So are these even up and running? Let me check. I'm sorry, these are not even up and running. Let me turn these on. Let me pause the recording till then. Now then I have all the network devices ready. Okay, which is this one here is the R1. Let me just in fact change the diagram. Give me a second so that you can see it says R1. Okay, so I've just updated the diagram. You can see the R1 here. That's been configured and ready. Transit CP is ready. So is R2 and R3. I haven't done Fusion yet and router because they're not going to be added to the DNS center unless you want to monitor their interfaces or get the monitoring data and stuff. Otherwise, it's not required. Okay. I mean, you can add any device that you need to monitor. It may not be supported as with the automation. Okay. But assurance part is normally supported. Okay. Assurance feature. So let's go and start adding devices into a fabric. Perform the discovery. Okay. We can modify the HQ with the zone in it. Okay. Right. So we are done with the configs. We have the VN ready. We have the transits. There's one transit that needs to be done, but that will be done later on. Let's just add the devices and see how it works. A few commands that I need to add here to the. Let me just close all these windows. Okay. So let me just add. Okay, let's just add these to all the devices. Oh, got the spelling's wrong. That should do for the other boxes. Okay, done. R2 is done. I'm just doing these. I'm putting these commands in so that whenever DNS center is logging and performing the configs, you would know what the configs are. That doesn't need to be added. Okay. This will come back shortly, so we need to worry about it right now. Okay, let's go back and start adding devices into a fabric, go to inventory. You can also do a discovery here, or there's other ways of doing it. For example, you can go into workflows and you can perform a discovery, specific discovery here. Just trying to find out where it is. Um, okay. Provision template. That was a provision template. Discover devices. This is the one. Okay, so you would perform a discovery. So you can give an IP address range here. Okay. So let's say 172.16.1.1 and 172.16.1.7. And that is it. Use loopback. Next. SNMP as RO and RO, and SNMP, right, and is RO and RO. I haven't enabled netconf, but if you're adding wireless, you need to enable this, okay? CLI, credentials. Okay, let me just make sure that I have the enable. Yeah, I have, I think, the enable password set, but just to be on the safe side. I'm going to set the enable password on all the devices. In fact, it's not required here. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to skip the assignment for now. Just perform the discovery. Let's see if this can actually reach. It's mostly to get vaccine. Oh, yeah, I can get there. So I should have some devices getting added pretty soon. Okay, so it's discovered one. What about the other ones? Okay, let's just wait for this to finish. Just going to pause this for now. Okay, so the discovery is finished and I have 5 reachable devices. Okay. And these are all the devices. Wait for the discovery to be completed. And then we can provision these or add these devices. Okay. So it's still going to take a little while. And you will see DNS center, it's been logged in. The DNS center will be logging in and sending its commands to all the devices. You'll see that. Excuse me. This was me accessing the device, and this is DNS center. Okay. Yeah, so all devices being accessed by the DNS center. It's going to be soon adding them with all their detail and names and etc. Everything in it. So you see, it's getting coming in slow by slow. Wait for this discovery to finish. Okay, so the discovery is finished. Now the devices are here and ready. I just need to go and add these devices in the DNS center now. Sorry, in fact, I've added these and I need to provision these and put them to the side. So this is MPLS. I'll use this for provisioning. Sorry, for assurance, but I'm not going to put this into a side. So I have got R1 and transit CP. This is going to go to a single site. Provision. So let's go to provision device. I'm going to choose a site, which is HQ and Lahore. And next. I just did. Oh, sorry, for the other device. Okay, so both are done. Since they are the same model, they can be done together, okay? If you have different models, you have to do this for each model separately. Okay. So it's the basic configs that's going to go in place. Okay, so 2 devices are scheduled and they will be assigned to the device, that's to the site. SDR2, I'm going to provision this device and assign it to a site. That's the branch A in Islamabad. Next, next, and click on deploy. Excuse me. Okay, so the last one, provision device, choose a site, branch B, Kashmir, save, next, 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 and deploy. So you'll see messages popping up on all the 3 devices that we have configured. For example, R2 here, all these devices, all these commands are coming in from the DNS center. Okay. You see, it's a lot of commands that it's pushing, a lot of commands. Okay. And there will be more coming soon. So you see SDR1 and SDR transit. It's the trust point that's been created for the DNS center. Okay, so next thing is we're gonna go into our fabric side. For example, HQ, and we're gonna assign roles to these devices. So this is a control plane node and a border node. So I'm going to use BGP. I'm also going to use this as a border node. I'm going to use 65001 here and add this. and deploy this. Although I don't have any clients there, but I'm just showing you how this is done. You might have, some hosts there later on, maybe wireless clients. Okay. And then I've got this node here. Okay. This node is going to be my transit node. So I'm not going to add this here. I'm going to go back into, in fact, I'll show you the configs that have been pushed onto the R1 here. See, these are the configs that have been pushed into R1. We use the BGP 65001. It's been configured by the DNS center with the Lisp configs. Okay. So those configs are pushed. Now it's the turn of SDA transit. So if you're going to use that as a transit, let's go to the provision and fabric sites again, and to the transit, and create a transit here. This SD access, okay, Lisp and BGP. Select a site. So it's this hang on. Let's say it should be something in the global. The branch A has nothing on it. Yeah, this is the one where it should show up. So this is the one that we're going to use as transit, SDA transit. Okay. And this is not IP based. I'm going to call it SDA transit. Save it. Apply. Now it's going to use BGP to connect sites so that they can communicate within the VN. For example, site A and site B, there, branch 1 and branch 2, they will be able to, for example, if the same VN, let's say prod VN, if the prod VN in branch 2 wants to talk to prod VN in branch 1, they can do that using this transit CP. I would not have to perform any configs or any route leaking or any that sort of stuff between the branches. Okay, so that makes my life a lot easier. But for inter-VN communication, for example, between prod and guest or prod and infra or prod and default, infra, by the way, is used normally for your infrastructure, for example, wireless and stuff. Okay, so we leave that alone. Default can be used for anything. So let's say we use prod. If you want the prod to talk to VN, then we'll have to use Fusion. Okay, for the reason we have a Fusion here, but this is just for one branch. With the other design, where I had the Fusion connected to both the branches, you can have a single Fusion doing the job for you. But that's uh, it's not a design that corporate would indulge or work on. Reason being, uh, there's a lot of security features that you have to sort of compromise and then do this. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so you've got here at the branch with the Fusion. So next thing up, we have this ready. We'll go to the remaining transit sites, fabric sites. I'll show you what happened on the transit node, the configs that have been put by the DNS center. Okay, see this trust point being created. The list config has come in. Okay. And soon you'll see the BGP coming in as well. So that's automated. Once you have the branches utilizing it, it's going to be using BGP or Lisp. So you have the choice. Okay, so let's go back and add the other branches in there too. Branch A, we're going to assign device the role. I'm just not doing the VTAPs here right now. So I'm going to have this as a border node. 65002. I'm going to add a transit peer, an STA transit, and I'm going to uh, yeah, so that is fine for now. I can also add, in fact, another transit, IP transit, for which I have configured the pool. Oh, the pool that we configured was in the branch. No, it was in the site. That's why it's not showing up. We can even configure that later on. So it's also a control plane node placed with BGP. Okay. Add, deploy. Now, in fact, I didn't have to use the BGP on this one for along with Lisp. Well, I would because I'm going to have a transit node. Yeah. So let's just keep it that way. So that's my branch done. For the pools that it did not show up, let me just go back into the design and look settings and IP address pools and see where I made a mistake. So in branch A, I have those at the branches. What are that? It should have, I think. I'm gonna release the ones there. So I'm gonna go back into branch A and see what we can resolve here. Just for Fusion. Okay. That's a /24 and go 6.0 and 22.6.1. Reserve. Okay. If I go back to the fabric now, if I have to add the fusion here, my pool should get, there it is now. That's the pool that we just configured. So that's the pool that's going to be used for layer 3 handoff. Okay. And I need to add an external interface here, which is going to be my, let's see which interface connects to the fusion. I think it's Gigi 4. In fact, 3 and 4. So 3 is going to be my LAN and 4 is going to be my Gigi interface. within, I haven't used an IP address here. So let's say I'm going to use IP address of 99, or not, 10. In fact, I have to have a sub interface. It's going to use a sub interface. I'll just leave it like that for now. I'll go back and use interface 4. That's a Fusion interface. I don't have any VNs in here. I can add those later on as well if I want to. And I don't have any VNs in here. I'll assign the VNs first and come back to this later. Okay, meanwhile, I'm going to go into the fabric side again, and my last side, I'm going to assign that a role. I'm not doing the edges, border edge node right now. So that will be added later on once we have the host connected. But I'm just trying to get it this far so I have things ready, up and running. So this is control plane node. State transit, add, and deploy, and that's it. While it's doing that, I'm going to go back into the provision section again and the fabric sites. And here, I've got to see if I have the beacons here. Okay. Okay, so this is the new interface. Okay. I'm going to add all these. They can all have the same VN. I like this interface, by the way. It's really good and it makes your life a little easier. The previous one was good too. In that case, I mean, you only have to choose it differently. I'm gonna exit. Okay, and I'm gonna go to guest. And I'm gonna add it. Select the fabric sites, add all. In fact, I can. Yeah, since I'm not gonna have, in fact, I might have something, so let's just add this. I'll add all three. Next and next. Back. Okay. Okay. Update and deploy. So the VNs now are getting added to the branches. Okay. By the way, for those of you who are watching this for the first time, uh, we have all these resources in our lab, and this lab is also available on rent. Okay. That's $10 per day, which is a very reasonable price just for the SDXS lab. We also will have a guide with it, a booklet that you can use to configure certain feature on SDA, and you can play around with it. We don't mind if you break in it because we can put it together again. Okay. So those of you who wish to take this uh, on a rent, it is available. You can contact us on the number given in the description. Okay. Also, we have the SD-WAN lab also available for same price for $10. Okay. And you can use this too. And then if somebody wants the CCI pod, CCI Enterprise Lab pod, that's for $25 per day. Okay. With all the devices in it. For example, the DNS center, the eyes, the switches and the routers and the branches with all the switches, etc. in it. Okay. But we have a sample practice topology. If you want to have your own topology, you can build that. We don't mind, but you have to build it yourself. Okay. But we only give this for practice labs. Okay. Thank you. Right. So let's keep going. And let's see all those VNs are ready. Okay, so prod is the one that was left. Let's do that for prod too. Add all the sites, assign them, and then update this and deploy this. So all these branches are going to get added to all the sites that are there, and you'll see a lot of commands coming up. Okay. In fact, these are not added to the sites yet because I haven't added them. So I'm going to go back into the fabric. Okay, I'm going to go into branch A. And here I'm going to choose the board node. And I'm going to add a transit, which is the IP transit, and the IP pool, which is the Fusion pool, and add an external interface, which is my LTZNet 4. And I'm going to have, in fact, I will need to have any VLAN assigned to these. Okay, I'll leave that. I think it can do it automatically too. Okay, let's do that. So let's do 201. In fact, let me have a look at the diagram. So this is sorry, 10.2. So this is 202. The site is 2. Prod is 204. Guest is 205. 205. 204. Okay. Okay. Add. and add and deploy and apply. So that's gonna get your Fusion ready. Okay. Not the Fusion router ready, but in fact the configs for the Fusion. We'll configure the Fusion later on. Now, if we look at our infrastructure, we'll see the authentication template that's there. Okay, the wireless SSID and the port assignment. Assignment will not show up until you add edge nodes. I have not added any edge node yet. That is why you don't see it here. Okay. You only have one site configured. That's why you only see one. So let's have a look at the visual networks now. We have, in fact, yeah, let's have a look at the virtual networks. So we have these, we using the default, the guest and the prod. We can have a look at the Anycast gateway for them. We can create one. So it's going to ask me for the pool for each branch that I've not created. I'll do that later on then, but I just wanted to show you how this is done. So you do that for one, and then you do that for all the branches as well, for all the, sites, which means you need to have an IP address pool for all these to be in place. And then their VLAN ID and stuff, and SGTs if you want to assign them. And this is really good, actually. They've made it simple and easier. Okay, so I'm just going to skip that for now. Right. Previously, you used to pick the Anycast gateways up from the pool that we used to define. So in our case, we still need to define the pool. So this is it for today. I'm gonna add more to this later on. We have 5 network devices. One is unprovisioned, which is the MPLS. If you provision this, let's just go on. I don't think we'll have to put it to a side, so that's what the problem is. We just want to have a look at it and see the details, and that's it. And in fact, we can look at the assurance dashboard and the network health here. Yeah, so we have 5 devices in place. Okay. Type, model, OS, their details. You can open them up one by one and see what the device is like, what's in it, and how things are moving. So that's what assurance is. That's the physical topology. Okay. Issues, traces, device interfaces. You can also have a look at that. See, all the stuff is there. So this is one of the best NMSs that are out there. You can see the fabric sites in there, virtual networks, okay, transits. So since there's no, traffic at the moment, that's why you don't see much of that data. But you can still see a lot of stuff in there already being populated. Device details, loopback IP address, location, software version, role, okay. Um, Again, the fabric site details, high availability status, reachability, okay. And these are the details that you find. So assurance is a really good dashboard, You can see stuff in here and see what has happened, see what happened here. Okay. So this is really good. This is really cool. Okay, then. So I'm just going to wrap this up. I'm just going to wrap this up, and in the next session, I'll perform the configs on, well, in fact, I'll just add the edges, the VTAPs on both the sides, create the IP address pools so that we can have the VNs uh, with their Anycast gateways ready. And that'd be it. Hopefully that should do the job for us. Then we'll configure the Fusion part. Okay. Hope you like this session. Please join us and follow us as well. We'll provide you the details of our channel, as well as on our channel is on WhatsApp as well as YouTube. Okay, we have groups in on WhatsApp, and then there is a contact number of WhatsApp from where you can find details related to the courses, the free sessions that we run every now and then, and you can join us on those in those live sessions. Okay, thank you so much for watching.